Dip is fantastic. It's great. I love it. I started vaping to quit dipping. I love chewing tobacco. It's fantastic. I want some right now.
Welcome to the Patriotic Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Patriotic Podcast. I am your co-host and producer, Ryan G. I am sitting here with two-time Iraq survivor, father of 10, and fister extraordinaire, Danny O'Neill.
That's pretty fucking close.
How we doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Good. We're almost through the holidays.
Yeah.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. We had the shop over. It was like 25 people or something. And, Fawn recently had surgery. But still managed to cook everything up, and it was great. How about yours?
A lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
A lot of kids. Yeah. Not used to that. It was fun. Kind of made me look within a little bit though. Like, man, dude, when kids are like 1 or 2, when kids are like 3 or 4, they can be real motherfuckers, dude.
Yeah. They think they know stuff.
Well, just like
They're gaining independence and they want more. Fuck you. I'm doing this.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. You can speak to this. Like, I don't know what's more challenging, like teen years, because you can actually communicate with them in a way that they can comprehend, or like when you have a toddler that's like throwing shit or whatever it may be, misbehaving in any particular way. I can just see myself getting like so insanely overwhelmed in a situation like that.
Frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you want to control this little human.
Yeah. And I don't want to be like screaming at a kid, right?
Right. So that's a very interesting question. And I'm not sure I have the answer, but I will say this. It's weird to go from providing everything for this human, from fluids and food, right? Sustenance to clothing, warmth, security. Everything is provided by you. Everything. Fucking ass wiping. And then, even when they're like 3 or 4, you're still like wiping their butt, like you're getting them potty trained. They're not great. Eventually, you have to start giving them independence, enough rope to hang themselves, if you will. You start giving them a little bit of independence, and a little bit, if it starts with riding your bike outside or walking to the park and playing there with your friend.
Or like staying home by yourself when no one's there.
Yeah, after school, little latchkey kids like me,
Yeah.
So what I've learned is that as hard as it is, the attitude gets bigger along with the responsibility you give them. And that's okay. You gotta let them fall on their face a little. And that's hard for parents, is to let the kids fail and learn from it. They want to protect them from everything, and you can't do that. Yeah. You got to prepare them for everything as best you can. You can't protect them from everything.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been times where my son, so, my kid's in a residential treatment place right now because he's struggled. But like when he was a kid, like I'm opening the door and he starts pissing on my porch at the house. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you're 40 feet from the bathroom.
Yeah.
10 seconds from being able to get there. I don't understand. I had to go pee. All right. I want to yell. I'm just going to tell you, don't do that again.
Yeah.
Just like if you can't hold it, if you need to go pee before we leave the other place, let's try that. It's hard. Parenting's not always fun.
Have you had an experience as a parent yet where, because like I try to think of like my parents, right? How inconceivable it was to them 25 years ago that they would one day be sitting at a bar with me having a drink, or like, like my dad used to take me backpacking all the time, and he always talks about how much fun it is to backpack with your kid, and you want to do it as soon as possible, but a lot of times you don't realize that 65-pound pack that you used to carry up for yourself is now a 90-pound pack, or maybe a 100-pound pack, or maybe it's a 150-pound pack because your kid can't walk anymore. Now you're carrying his ass too.
Yep.
And then fast forward to now, where like we'll take down a crazy ass backpacking trip. And he's probably looking at it like, damn, dude, like that seemed like so long ago. It was a long time ago. I'm old as shit now. At least I feel like it. But like, have you had that experience yet? And if so, like, when did it start? Or like, I think it probably happens more often after like adulthood.
Yeah.
Or like after 21 or, one of those milestone ages.
Yeah. They still rely on me for a lot right now.
Yeah.
How
old are they right now?
So the oldest is 16. She'll be 17 in January, in about a month. And she'll just be getting her license. So I had to push and prod her to get it. And I was like, what the hell? See, that's so different from, I feel, my generation. We were like, on my birthday, I'm getting my license so I can be free, independent.
Yeah.
And they're like, do I have to? Like, you're making me do this?
Yeah. Dude, I remember I got my permit 3 weeks after my birthday because like there was some timing issue. Like I turned 15 and a half. That's probably what it was. I turned 15 and a half and I couldn't start my
the driver's ed or whatever.
This is what it was because my birthday's on May 19th.
Yeah.
Summer school starts in June. I did mine during summer school, so there was a 3-week window. So then when I turned 16, instead of on my 16th birthday being able to go down to DMV and get my license, I had to wait 3 weeks. And those were the 3 most agonizing weeks I think I've experienced thus far, dude. Because like all my friends had their licenses, and like I remember in high school, dude, in the early 2000s, like you remember the key lanyards?
Yeah.
If you had one of those hanging out of your pocket, it symbolized that you had your license. You, at least in my class, dog, you did not have a lanyard hanging out of your pocket unless you had a car in the parking lot. And like, dude, it was like a status thing. It was the weirdest thing. Like people would literally, they'd come to school the next day after their birthday, and there'd be a lanyard hanging out of their pocket, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, Jimmy got his license, dog. Look." Like, dude, it was like a cartoon. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think when we got our license, it was, oh, look, now we can go hotbox Alan's truck and drink and drive in Ryan's car. Let's go do this. Yeah, we definitely, like, I got my license. So there was only, if I remember correctly, there was 2 of us in the driver's ed class that passed the test. Most of us could not afford, our families were not giving us cars when we were 16. Right. We're going to be working, whatever. One girl who could, Michelle, her dad owned all this shit, and she had a car waiting for her. Chevy Trailblazer or whatever it was. But yeah, what ended up happening was she broke down crying over stress taking the test. And I don't give a shit about tests or any of that other stuff. I score well. I don't get stressed out. And yeah, I remember passing, and then my dad got another divorce, so I moved back to Stockton. And then as soon as I turned 16, I went to the DMV and got my license, and he let me drive to school that day. He's like, all right, took the day off, so you can drive to school, and then, when you're done, come back to the house or whatever. And that weekend, we came down to old John L. Sullivan's, and my dad bought himself a car, and I got his until I got 2 tickets back to back. And he was like, you're off my insurance, you're done. He was pretty pissed.
Well, I like how he did that. He bought himself a new car and gave you the old one. That's the way to do it, dude. Yeah. That's why I'm still driving around this Honda. I'm going to drive this Honda Accord. I bought it brand new with 2 miles on it. Literally had 2 miles on it in 2017. And I'm almost to 69,420 miles, and I'm going to take a picture of it. But I'm going to ride that thing till the wheels come off, and that's when I'm going to replace it, dude. Yeah. So I've got at least 16 years if I get busy like right now. Yeah. But that's good, man. I'm glad you had a good Thanksgiving. Got Christmas coming right down the pipe. Holidays stress me out, dude. My family's always been all split up everywhere, so I feel kind of like, I don't want to say pressure, but that's what it is, to be everywhere at once. And even if nobody's giving me grief, dude, it stresses me out. I'm like, I try to see everybody. Yeah.
So I got kids though, so I don't care. I'm like, you can come here and see me.
Yeah, and like, dude, you guys have a fantastic home. Like, if when I get to that point, I mean, like right now I live in a 1,200 square foot condo, right? It's not like I'm hosting, but like when I get to the point where I'm in a bigger space, I'm gonna say, enough with all this fucking pressure. You guys want to see me on Christmas? Yeah, come on down. Yep. Yeah, Yeah. I'm gonna go see my grandma 'cause she's a million years old. But
See, and this is how I can tell we're in different stages of our life. I'm like, you know what? I want a 1,200-foot condo just on the beach.
yeah, right. Yeah.
I want to downsize. So, like, being an empty nester is coming down, like, that's coming down the pipe for me. And I don't, like, the youngest is 12. So I got like 6 years, but most of them are going to be out in the next 2 years. I got a junior and a sophomore and junior right now. So they got like 2.5 years till they're both gone. And then what?
Yeah, that's I talked to, my experience in the mortgage business, dude. I talked to a lot of empty nesters, and a lot of them are just like, I don't even know. They're like, I'm bored, I'm heartbroken, some of them are even retired, so it's like they really don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Like, at least you guys are young enough, like you still have a lot of ambition and you still have a lot of shit that you want to accomplish.
I just want to golf.
But like,
surf.
Yeah, right. Golf and surf.
Man, turn that down.
Hey, fuck all that other stuff.
Yeah,
dude.
what are you
I just
talking
want
about?
golf and surf. Yeah.
Hawaii it is.
Man. So yeah, dude, Thanksgiving was good, and we had a busy month or two running up to that. So
yeah,
we went on our squad recon with 132 CAV RSTA in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep.
And I want to talk a little bit about that, dude, because it was a fantastic time. Shout out to all the boys.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Because there's a lot of special moments, I think. And for those of you at home who don't know, Squad Recons it's our cornerstone program at Warfighter Overwatch, where we bring units who deployed together during the global war on terrorism. And, they've suffered through, physical injuries, mental injuries, and they've had, suicide issues, or we want to prevent that because they're having problems with some of the trauma they experienced together, and we want to help them process through that. And it's a 3-step program where initially we bring the veterans back together who deploy together. 6 months later, roughly, we bring the veteran and their spouse or caregiver and do some teamwork, communication stuff, team building. And then 6 months after that, just the spouse or caregiver. And so we got to take these guys back. What for you was like your favorite moment or most special moment?
I'd have to say picking them up from the airport, honestly, was like one of the more memorable moments for me. There's something that always impresses me about any community. It doesn't even have to be, people experience it outside of the military too. They experience it with their high school buddies at football teams. Yeah. Like Butte College, shout out to all the Butte boys. I still talk to them.
College dudes, huge.
Yeah. And so when you're a part of a community like that, and it's not all of them, like this doesn't happen with colleagues from work. It happens with mostly places where you choose to be for intrinsic reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Not because you're getting a paycheck, but it's because there's a greater cause that you're trying to accomplish. And the thing that these communities have in common is the passage of time is almost non-existent. Like the last time these dudes had seen each other was in 2006, I believe. Mm-hmm. And when we get in the car or in the van and we're driving back, before they all knocked after a long ass day of travel, which there's some fantastic photos of that too. Yeah. It's so cliche to say that it's like no time has passed at all, but this was a really very striking representation of that. Like it was, and we were joking the whole time about the homoeroticism, like how quickly that started back up again.
Immediately.
Yeah, it was immediate. Before we even got them in the van, there was a group text where like they were all joking about whose bed they were going to sleep in and like how they were going to buddy up and all this shit. And it's like when... It sounds sophomoric, and it is. But first of all, it's definitely a part of the military culture. I don't care how you cut it. It just is. And then especially combat arms, But
it's a fister.
Yeah, right. But
orders are hung.
It was just it was really cool to see, because I know everybody experiences it as a part of one of those groups, but you rarely see it from the outside looking in, and if you do, you're typically feeling awkward about it because you're like, damn, I don't know anybody here, and like that's kind of, I didn't want to let them down, I guess, is like how I went into that weekend. Like I was like, I don't want to let these guys down. I really want them to reconnect. I want them to have fun. I want them to continue this. Like, so I guess my biggest wish too of this whole thing is that we can encourage, whether it happens on this Squad Recon or the next, I hope that we can motivate these guys to like maybe make it an annual thing. Mm-hmm. And like maybe they invite us, maybe they don't. I don't care. But like as long as like I really hope those guys from the CAV get together next year and send us pictures of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So a couple things. We went to Alex's house recently, and he has horses and stuff. He lives out in the country a little bit. So we drove over there, and Fawn asked him, have you guys been talking on, like you guys got your thread? Have you guys been chatting and stuff? And he's like, yeah, all the time. There's always jokes, whatever. And then one of the other guys called and, was on FaceTime when we were there. So we got to talk to Kenny. And it was great to see that actually happen right in front of us. And the impact it made on them. In fact, Alex even did a interview with the local news, talking about how it helped him right afterwards, which I thought was very powerful. Veterans Day, and people want to hear from veterans, and I get on the news all the time. It was great for Alex to do that, and he's not exactly comfortable talking on camera and stuff, but he did. I think he did specifically because of what he felt, even right there at the airport when the guys first started showing up, and you're like, these are my brothers. This is my family. And you cannot buy that. It is through mutual suffering in their instance, right? They went through a lot of crap, but the homoeroticism, the friendships, the just the bonds that we saw that had already been formed, but hadn't been blooming or
had been nurtured in a long time.
Nurtured, perfect word.
They hadn't been nurtured in a long time, and I hope that at the very least, I hope that the very least that comes out of these things are these guys are at least checking in from time to time.
Yeah,
and I love to see that.
Yep.
I'd love for them to get together more because again, like you could just like they genuinely had a blast, and I was really glad that we were able to provide that. So for those that haven't, so we have a recap on our website that goes into a little bit of detail. I still have a billion photos that I need to parse through. So and I'm not editing them, but I'm like I literally have frames and frames and frames. So but I wrote a little recap that kind of described what we did. So Danny and I and Dan flew out on Thursday. Was Dan there on Thursday?
He drove though, but yeah.
He drove, that's right.
Yep.
So Dan Lowry, another one of our board members, our chief ops guy. We all traveled out to Atlanta. Excuse me. The next morning, we got our itineraries ready, which Danny promptly soaked with an open water bottle. And
so dumb.
And we went down to the airport to pick these guys up. Now, one thing you need to know about Atlanta, especially living here in California, you think California traffic's bad. I haven't driven around LA too much, but I can't.
It's like LA traffic.
It is, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, so our airport was the airport was 42 miles from our hotel.
I think it was less than that. 35,
32.
Yeah, 30 something
or like
miles.
38 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
It took us no less than 90 minutes every time we drove to and from.
And the Tennessee game was that weekend. Like there was a lot of stuff
there's
going
a lot of shit going on that weekend. But so we drive out to the airport the next day, and we start picking these guys up. And as more and more of them pour in, man, they're just like you can feel like the anticipation for the rest of the weekend.
Yep.
And so once we gather up everybody, which was just a clusterfuck at Atlanta Airport.
Yeah. And they didn't know Trujillo was coming.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah. So at home, he was their guy who was seriously injured. He's burned all over his body, from an attack that they sustained. And he doesn't fly. He doesn't like flying. So if you remember, the message we got was he puked. He's going to grab something to eat on his way out. We're going to take him to go eat, but he didn't feel good, and
Yeah.
he didn't want to do it initially. But Dan talked to him and explained like how this was going to benefit him, but more importantly for his perspective from Trujillo, hey, it's going to benefit the other guys to see you. So if you could come out, it'd be great. And he's like, all right, I'll come. And he did, and it was great.
I think that that is such a key part of what made this weekend so good is that not the surprise aspect of it, but just the fact that he made that sacrifice to come out for his boys. Like that speaks to what this whole thing was designed for. Yep. And so to see him come out, man, and dude, talk about a funny motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like from the second he came to the second he left, that fool was talking shit. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we go out and we get a well-earned beer after the ridiculous travel, and we hung out at Top Golf that night. None of those guys can golf. Dan is he's got such a fluid swing for a dude that's that jacked. Like normally there's a negative correlation between how jacked you are and how smoothly you can swing a club. Yeah, dude can golf. Saturday morning, we woke up and we went up to Mount Curry. So we went to Tampico, which is, for those that don't know, is where Band of Brothers was filmed. I believe a lot of it was, obviously, but it follows the unit that trained there. And we climbed all the way up to the top of Mount Curry, which, I mean, my dad wanted pictures of the mountains, and I was like, dude, this is not the kind of mountain. Like, you have to understand that they ran battalions up this thing. Like, this isn't like a trail like this. You know what I mean? It's like, it's for training.
It's a road now.
Yeah. And so we hiked up to the top of that. We had a great discussion at the top and kind of, relayed why it's important to do these things. Yeah. And I really appreciated everything that you said. You had some awesome messaging.
Thank you.
And then Sunday, we'll get to the bonfires. So then Sunday, we went out to the National Infantry Museum, which, holy shit, folks.
So this was my favorite part.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this real quick.
It was unbelievable.
Well, outside of the original, when they first get back together, because you're like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And I know it already, right? Yeah. Like instantaneously. But when we went to the Infantry Museum, there was a few different, they got several different displays, all kinds of cool stuff in there, simulators, which obviously we had some fun doing that stuff too. But they got to see their unit and one of the operations that they were part of for Qusay and Uday, Saddam's sons, and they were part of that. And it has them there with their unit guy, and they're like, what? And when we walked, there was a Bradley in there, and it was from my last unit, 122 Infantry, deeds, not words. And I thought, how badass is it?
That's the 143rd's motto, too.
Is it?
Facta non verba, right? Ours was Latin. Facta non verba, I believe, is
same thing.
Words.
Yeah. And so I thought that how badass is it you go to the Infantry Museum
and see,
and you're in there.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking cool. So,
what we did fucking means something.
That's right. That's right.
That's
validation.
What's cool about that. Yeah. And so that museum, though, just an aside, that museum,
state of the art,
dude, you walk in, there's this giant, like, the only way I can describe it, it reminds me of, it's like a ballroom almost, like this giant, huge, super tall ceilings, wide open space. You could fit 5,000 people in this damn thing. And then there's these...
After you walk by Iron Mike.
Right, yeah. And then there's these big archways. I think there were 6 of them, and it's like the 6 eras of the infantrymen. So it started of the American infantrymen. So it started at the Revolutionary War, and then I think that there was a World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Guat. I might be forgetting one.
Korea,
yeah.
Yep.
It was, man, and like every one of these museums, there's a whole ass museum inside of this little wing. So there was like 6 wings. And then
from uniforms to equipment, weaponry, all of it.
Yeah. There was crazy things that they had captured. Like there was this one rifle. I took a picture of it. There's a rifle that during Marcus Luttrell's operation that went tits up, they captured the rifle.
Yep.
The enemy captured his rifle, used it to kill a ranger.
Yeah. Oh, I think I do remember that.
And then they recovered the rifle back. And this rifle is just in this museum. So you're looking at it and you're looking at the trigger. I'm looking at the trigger and I'm like, someone's finger, an American's finger pulled this trigger, squeeze this trigger.
Hey, babe.
To kill an enemy. It wound up in their hands. They then probably pulled the trigger to kill an American. Mm-hmm. And then we have it back, and you're just looking at, like, you could write a damn book on the history of just that gun.
What that weapon has seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a million things like that. And then also at Toccoa, too, they had, it was, albeit small, a pretty incredible museum. Then they had a bunch of captured Nazi memorabilia, and they would, like, there was a full Nazi uniform on a mannequin. There was a couple of them, and those were striking. But the one thing that I will never, ever forget from the Camp Toccoa Museum is seeing that Nazi women's nurse uniform. You remember seeing that?
Yep.
Dude, it was like this black, it was all jet black, like leather.
Yeah.
Had the mock neck that was like buttoned up with the iron crosses and shit. And then had this huge, like, draping cloak on it. It was just the most ominous looking. She looked like a
dominatrix. No.
Yeah, there's that. I was going to say a plague doctor, but
yeah.
But that's what it reminded me of, dude. And, like, God damn, it's just like, it just screams evil.
Eerie. Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. So yeah, it was an incredible trip, man. I rode a high off of that for a couple weeks, man. Like, my bucket was full. I felt like I had so much fun. And then, to be in touch with those guys still, because, every once in a while one of them would reach out to me too. And like that shit fires me up, dude. Like, that makes me want to work fucking harder for everybody. So shout out to those boys, man. Thank you for making that weekend as cool as it was.
Yeah.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kinetic Ink Tattoo Company. If you're looking to get a tattoo or piercing in the Folsom area, you have to check out Kinetic Ink. You'll realize soon after walking in that this is not your standard tattoo shop. Kinetic Ink is built to bring together the veteran and first responder communities in a place where they can connect with one another, share their stories, and get tattooed by world-class artists while they do it. What I love most about Kinetic is that 10% of every tattoo is donated to Warfighter Overwatch to help veterans and first responders when they need it most. You're literally saving lives by getting inked here, and that's not an exaggeration. Go check them out. They're located at 47 Natoma Street in Folsom, right across the street from City Hall. Mention the Patriotic Podcast and get 15% off your merchandise purchase. Shout out to Kinetic Ink for sponsoring the pod. Now back to our episode.
Anyhow, for all of your tattoo needs, come to Kinetic Ink. And for any custom shirt orders, Kinetic Threads.
Yeah, dude. So that's a sick shirt. So
Great
that
job.
is our Warfighter Overwatch. If we can come up with any more, we will. But this came to me in the shower, so shower ideas for the win. Yeah. Silent Night shirt. Get it now. 15% off from now till the end of the year.
Booyah.
Yeah.
Great design, by the way.
Thank you.
Yep. Earlier when you were talking about the weapon and like the things that like what I see in my head, and I think this is funny to me, considering the times that we live in, I'm like, dude, just based on what, like when I said what that rifle's seen or what it's been through, when I think about that, it's like, can you imagine the one bullet and you see it go through its life, like in the Lord of War, based on that one guy, Victor Boot.
Yeah.
And then you see it go fucking pointing at a little kid in Africa and it's fucking about to shoot his ass.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Lord of War.
Yeah. How about that guy?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Lord of War, Merchant of Death.
Yeah. If you were in charge of, say, I don't know, a country, this one, and they said, you can release an American. We're going to tell you which one. And we get the Merchant of Death back.
Yeah.
Would you say, hey, either, one American's better than none, I'm good, let's do this deal?
So,
because I know my answer is you're going to sit in jail because I'm not letting out the fucking guy named the Merchant of Death.
Yeah, so I've thought about this a lot, obviously, knowing that we were going to talk about it here. And one thing that I do pride myself on, I know I've mentioned in the podcast, is playing devil's advocate internally. So there's a couple of things that I do want to point out, because I do see a lot of criticism on Biden for this.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that you'd be remiss not to acknowledge. First is Putin has all the leverage. Biden has zero leverage in this situation. Putin could just say, like, no, I'm not going to exchange anything unless we get the fucking Merchant of Death back.
Yep.
So it's not like Biden. I really don't think he had the opportunity to be like, well, why don't we negotiate for this other Russian prisoner? I really don't think that, knowing what I know about Russia, which is very little, but the one thing I do know is that, like, they're probably not the easiest folks to negotiate with, especially when they have all of the leverage. Mm-hmm. They are just dying for us to give them an excuse to escalate.
Yeah.
At least that's how I perceive it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Biden had a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I do
Tons.
too. I mean, look at who is crying for her release. It's his constituents, right?
That's right. The people that voted for him.
So,
yeah, those are the people you want to please.
You know, and we're halfway through his first term. Mm-hmm. He's running, I guess. And so, you know, like, I think the powers that be, like, I can't just blame this all on Biden. What I can say, though, is that I would have had a really hard time. Making this decision, because, again, it comes down to, do we think that she was wrongfully detained or wrongfully convicted? Here, yeah. But there, no. Like, and this is a problem that we've had in America for a fucking long time, dude, is that, like, we try to fucking Americanize everywhere that we go. Like, you have that journalist that was just killed in Qatar, right? Yep. So that was the dude, a few times ago, we were just talking about Qatar, and I was like, the audacity of this dude. This might make me look like an asshole now, like, you know, like post-mortem, but like, the audacity of a guy to go over there and then use his platform to generate all this outrage that they wouldn't let him in
with the rainbow shirt
to his stadium with a rainbow shirt.
Yeah.
Buddy, you're in another fucking country.
And they normally would stone your ass for this, and they're not right now. So, shh. It's different. It's not the same here.
I just don't, like, did he think that he had diplomatic immunity or something? Like, I really don't understand that. But then what was even more interesting about that is that
that's the entitlement of Americans, by the way.
Right.
I'm an American.
But what was crazy is that there were actually fucking people that were decrying that. Like, how dare this man go over there and try and impose Western views on this country? But then these people had a free Brittney Griner hashtag in their bio. And I'm like, dude, you just have to not break other countries' laws when you're there. And
do you remember that kid, Otto?
Otto, no.
Otto went to North Korea. Otto decided that he was going to be an entitled American, and they threw his ass in prison, and he could make big rocks into little rocks. And then they said, after it was only a few years, they sent him back home, and he died within like a couple of days. I forgot his last name. I have to go look it up. It's like a German last name, but it didn't go very well for him. I remember this kid when I was a teenager. Or excuse me, when I was a kid, he was a teenager. He went to
Otto von Bismarck, and I know Otto from Rocket Power. That's it.
I'll look at his name up right now. But this other guy, he went and spray painted. He was going to do. He's a fucking tagger or whatever. So he went and tagged up some shit. They caned his ass. But the rule for wherever he was at is, if you pass out from getting whipped from getting caned, we will stop. We will start again when you are healed or have regained consciousness and are good to stand up.
Like, no,
and
bitch,
take this
you
ass
will
whooping.
Suffer. Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull both of those up right now, because the Otto guy, he was not very smart.
Yeah, man. So, and like, do you think do you think Brittney Griner has a career still?
Oh yeah.
100% she does.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, what, she's going to come back and play basketball? And I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's going to get more endorsements. Nike's going to hook her up.
And if she didn't, can you imagine the book deal?
Oh,
but
yeah,
what I want to know,
what was it like?
What is the Merchant of Death doing right now? Like right this very second as we're recording this. What's he doing?
Whatever Putin told him to do yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you get that done tomorrow.
Do they think that fool's just going to go back to Russia and retire and like thank his lucky stars that he got out of American prison? No.
He's doing the same thing Brittney's doing. He's going back to work. All right. So Otto Warmbier is his name. And he was imprisoned in North Korea in 2016 on a charge of subversion. In June of 2017, he was released. So 1 year, he was released by North Korea in a vegetative state and died soon afterwards. 1 year of hard labor and it broke his ass. So he tried to steal like a propaganda poster and they gave him 15 years is what they sentenced him to. Hard labor, big rocks and little rocks. And it took less than a year to kill this motherfucker.
Oh my God.
Listen, people think that like you cannot behave in other places the way you do here. Our Constitution allows you to act a bit foolish before you cross that line. Like, you're allowed to speak out against your government. I wouldn't recommend doing that in fucking China.
Do people fucking realize you can't do that other places?
No, they think it's the same. And that if they go there, because they're an American, if they go there, they're entitled to talk shit and be able to do whatever they want there as well without repercussions.
Isn't that funny? They're going to go democratize another country? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right.
What the fuck, man? You know what's crazy, dude? Like Twitter. If I were to pull up Twitter right now, because like one of the things that we are going to do for the Patriotic Podcast next year, I don't want to rely on you guys following our individual accounts to see our content. If you like the podcast and don't want to follow us, great. We're going to have a place that you can do that. We currently do not have any dedicated social accounts for this podcast, but we are going to have them, and Twitter is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
But Twitter is a strange place, man.
Oh, I know.
It is so much more toxic than the other social media things. Like, I could go on Twitter right now and I could say, I like pancakes. Mm-hmm. And the first reply that I would get would be like, so you hate waffles?
Yeah.
And that just starts this fucking thread.
What French toast ever do to you, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Or it's somebody's like, well, I'm allergic to buttermilk. And then somebody else is like, well, my fucking grandfather choked on a pancake and killed him. It fucking killed him. How dare you? And it's like this discourse that we have. I'm echoing Joe Rogan so much right now, which despite the fact that I look up to him as a podcaster a lot, I don't want to do because I want to find our own path. But like the discourse that we're having right now is so unnatural and it's so new. And I think that like, and this kind of goes into another topic that I wanted to talk about is Elon's Twitter, because there's a lot of controversy around that right now. It's dominating headlines.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a really interesting way to interact because now everybody has a platform. There's no, how much context can you provide in 240 characters? I think that that's an inherent problem with Twitter.
Yep.
Is that you're limited in the scope of what you can post. Mm-hmm. And it is so instantaneous. Like using a hashtag on Twitter is a lot different than Facebook because so many people are using hashtags on that Twitter feed that it gets pushed out of view almost immediately. Like you might have 3 seconds if you're using a popular hashtag, right?
Yep.
And so with Elon's like shift in the paradigm of Twitter, it's been really interesting because my follower count, which is nothing on Twitter, I very rarely engage on Twitter because again, I just get buried every time. Like people fucking hate me on Twitter. Like they hate everybody. Like they're just looking for fucking somebody to hate.
Yeah.
And
it's called projection, by the way.
It is, yeah.
Themselves.
Exactly. And so like and it's funny because like I very much pride myself on being genuine and being and just wearing it on my sleeve and shit. And like you get what you get with me, dude.
Yeah.
Twitter is the one place where I'll really, really consider what I'm about to say because I'm like, I don't want to just get like, I just don't want to open myself up to that. Who does, right?
Right.
with Elon, like I lost what were very likely a bunch of bots. And then I started seeing a lot of content that I agreed with.
Yeah.
Which was interesting to me because I always thought that social media was an echo chamber. You're only going to see shit you agree with. But I really think that there is also a business model. There's something to be said about putting shit people hate in front of them. Because hate converts way better. You know what I mean? So it's like all of a sudden, I used to just get like, I fall in the middle, but I would get like hardcore socialists on my feed. And I'm just like, this is the only platform this is happening on. This is so fucking weird. And now all of a sudden, I'm getting like hardcore right shit. And I'm like, why is this shit on my feed too? So it's like, it's an interesting time. And like Elon Musk, he's rallying behind free speech, yet there was the Elon Jet account. Have you heard about this? So Elon Jet was a Twitter account that posted real time
where his jet was.
His private jet was.
And he asked the kid who was doing it, because it is like some like pretty young guy. And he's like, please stop.
He asked them to delay it.
That's right.
But now his account is suspended. So he actually suspended the account. But the interesting part about this is because he's arguing for from a personal safety standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
But he has ADS-B like every other plane on his fucking plane.
Yeah.
So right now, if you were to go to Sacramento Airport and jump on flight 1330 from Sacramento to Nashville, I could type that into the FAA's website and I could literally see it on a map inching along. It's public record.
Yeah.
So this guy is basically taking public information and just reposting it in a more easily consumable manner.
Yeah.
And that is constituting a suspension. Whereas, like, you know what else is public information? Lawsuits, bankruptcies, your address is all on the public record. So, like, at what point does something constitute doxing? Because that was his argument. They're doxing me. But the argument against it is that it's public record. It's not doxing.
Yeah.
But so is your fucking address, dude. You wouldn't want me posting your address on Twitter, right?
I do not.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting time for free speech, dude. It's arguably the most interesting time for free speech.
And we're going to find out
in 100 years.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out how much people believe in this. So
I think that's the scariest part is that there's a lot of people that don't believe in truly free speech. They want moderated speech.
Yeah.
And if we the people vote for that, though, how crazy is that?
I have to bring my own fucking bags to the grocery store, bro. Like, are you serious right now? These people are fucking...
Dude, after next week, I won't even be able to buy candy-flavored fucking nicotine. Are you kidding me? They're saving us to death, dude.
Well, I was going to say, that shit kills you anyway, so...
Fuck, let me kill myself how I want.
Yeah, I see. And, okay, look, as someone who believes that I'm a libertarian, I'm all for that. Unless what you do negatively affects someone else, right? Now, if you OD, it's going to negatively affect your family. Totally get that. Like, when it's your personal choice on what... Like, the my body, my... That's why I love this dude trolling motherfuckers. He's like... do you believe in my body, my choice? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, what about mandatory vaccinations? And they're like, well, yeah. And he's like, care to explain that? If it's my body, my choice, why do you get to mandate that I have to vaccinate? And the reason that I even bring that up is because I'm all aboard for the my body, my choice, and the same for the vaccinations. It's my body, my choice. I don't believe the government should be able, because I'm a fucking American, I don't believe the government should be able to tell me what I'm going to put in my body, what I'm not allowed to put in my body. And if that includes, if I want to try mushrooms today, then I get to try mushrooms today.
That's the craziest thing, dude, is that like, so, all right, let's say I'm a 16-year-old that smokes flavored nicotine vapes.
Yep.
All right. I have a choice between... So, all right, I do have to say they will have unflavored nicotine vapes, and then they will have nicotine vapes that have zero nicotine in it. They have vapes with zero nicotine with flavor. So now we're basically the Bible Belt of nicotine. So like you can buy an unflavored nicotine or an unflavored vape with nicotine or a flavored vape without nicotine. So basically, these kids have 3 choices because quitting isn't one.
No.
None of these kids are going to be like, man, I'm 16 years old and now they can't.
I guess the government's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm done vaping. So these kids have 3 choices, 4 choices, really. They can start dipping, which is what a big majority of them is going to do because dip is fantastic. It's great. I love it. I started vaping to quit dipping. I love chewing tobacco. It's fantastic. I want some right now. So they're either going to dip, they're going to start smoking nasty ass cigarettes.
Yeah.
They're going to double fist vapes, a flavored one and an unflavored one. So now your kid is going to spend $60 a week on vapes instead of $30, and they're going to be double fisting them, or they're going to do what any logical person would do, and they're going to smoke weed. So I hope you fucking like your kid on weed. Have you
I'd probably like my kids better on weed. No.
dude, sitting down and smoking and having a podcast and smoking on something that tastes like a banana Laffy Taffy is pretty great. But have you done it on weed?
Well, listen, Brittney Griner has, and it cost her, man. So if you're going to smoke it in a place that's legal.
Yeah,
make sure you're not going to get stopped by the fuzz in another country. Listen, if there's one place you're not going to break the law, fucking choose Russia, okay?
Yeah.
Don't break the law. Have you ever heard of the gulag? There's a fucking reason.
Yeah.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how it is now. I'm sure since she was a celebrity and she's part of the LGBTQI fucking Z commercial or community rather, that they probably took care of it. But I'm pretty sure the way it usually works is your family has to feed you while you're locked up there.
Yeah.
They have to pay for everything that you have while you're there, everything.
I read extensively about her situation because I knew that we were going to comment on it. And so, dude, I don't just you guys have to understand, I don't just get on here and spout off most of the time.
I probably do sometimes.
But I want to be at least a little bit educated on a subject. But I was reading a lot about her situation and it was pretty dire. Fortunately, she has money here. She has connections here. And that's what ultimately got her out.
Thanks, LeBron.
But I mean, all right. We have this other American, former Marine.
Yeah, Paul Whelan.
Paul Whelan was convicted in a court-martial of grand larceny.
Yep.
Stole about $10,000 worth of equipment.
Yep.
Left the Corps, or was booted from the Corps. Did some, I believe, contracting IT work and had traveled to Russia, I think 4 or 5 times prior to this incident. This last time around, he is actually going out there for a wedding with one of his former Marine squad mates, getting married in Moscow. Pretty fucking weird.
Very weird.
Super weird to get married in Moscow, dude.
Yeah.
If one of my buddies...
Unless he's Russian and became a U.S. citizen, that'd be super weird.
Yes, kind of weird. So anyway, he offers the wedding party and their family to be a guide in Moscow.
Paul does.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So he goes, he was invited as well, obviously, but he's like, hey, I'll go out there with you early. I will, kind of show you around.
Yeah.
It's important that we stay as a group is one of the things that he said. And so anyway, Friday and Saturday, he was out there. I think the wedding festivities, everybody was flying in Friday, staying Saturday, staying Sunday, and leaving Monday or something.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up a little bit early, shows them around. The family reports that this is a perfectly normal trip. He's literally going around taking pictures. He's showing them all the sightseeing and kind of points of interest. The day of the wedding rolls around, and he tells this family who he spent the last several days with, and they're all really relying on him for this wedding to go smoothly with the staff and all this shit. I don't know if he spoke Russian. I assume he did. But he was like, hey, I have a friend coming to meet me. I'll link up with you guys later, and misses the wedding. Super fucking weird.
Very odd.
He meets up with this dude, gives him a flash drive. Now, Paul's testimony is that the contents of this flash drive were supposed to be videos and photos from his previous trip to Russia because this guy that he met is like a friend of his.
Okay.
And he was under the impression that it was videos
Tourist
and photos.
stuff. Yeah.
Again, it's 2020, dog. Like, you're handing off a flash drive? That's a little weird to me.
In Russia?
Send a fucking OneDrive link.
Yep.
Or like a Google Drive. You know what I mean? Like, Dropbox that shit to me.
Yeah.
But when he gets the flash drive, there's a roster from, like, let's just say, like, it's like the OPM breach almost. Like, there was a roster of, like, DOD equivalent or, like, Kremlin employees.
Yep.
And that's what he was ultimately caught with. He maintains his innocence.
Of course.
It's hard to get a read on the guy, though.
Yeah. And I don't think, like, listen, if it's me making the choice, hey, instead of Brittney, let's do this Paul Whelan guy. My answer is still, hey, Paul, you're going to sit your ass in fucking jail because I'm not letting the guy named Merchant of Death out of fucking prison.
So I don't know this information. How long was the Merchant of Death's sentence? Was it forever?
No, he got 25 years or something like that, and he'd done 11.
So he had 15 years left?
Yeah, and someone was saying that they were going to let him out after 15 years, that he only had 4 left. I'm not sure how true that is either.
Because I think that was one of my initial reactions was like, what, is there any congruency between like the sentencing? Because a 9-year deal, and then Whelan has 14. I think he served 4, so he has 10 left. And
he was sentenced to 25 years in prison in 2012.
Man, and you know, and again, to go back to what we were originally talking about, as far as like why Biden made this decision, I think another, like, I do think that people forget that Brittney Griner is one of the coldest women to ever play basketball. 1. 2, she's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in America. And I would have to imagine that someone else with those accolades would have gotten this same treatment. And I'm not going to, like, God damn, I don't want to say it, but like if a male athlete.
People hated on Michael Phelps when they found out he smoked out of a bong.
Right. But if Michael Phelps was locked up in Russia right now, you know for sure.
Yeah, we'd be getting
his ass would be coming back home. And so, like, I don't think that I would have gotten this treatment.
I don't know, dude. Listen, because
I'm
Michael
also
Phelps,
not a fucking Olympian.
Yeah,
I'm not a pro basketball player.
Michael Phelps is a heterosexual white male, so I think that he probably should definitely come home. Actually, it's because he's the most fucking winningest Olympic athlete ever.
I think my biggest criticism of Biden in this whole fucking thing was his presser on the morning that she got released. He was like, I received letters from Brittney. She didn't ask for any special treatment. It's like, dog, yes, she did. That's why she's writing the fucking president. Because if I was locked up in Russia, I'd be like, I'm not writing the fucking president. They might only give me 10 letters a month, dude. I'm writing my mom. I'm writing my dad. I'm writing my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not writing the fucking president. Of course she got special treatment. I wouldn't get special treatment because I'm a fucking nobody. I'm not a Olympian or a WNBA basketball player.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, it's easy to blame Biden. There's also, well, not blame him. It's her fault ultimately. She's the one that took the shit
up
there. But like, it's easy to criticize him. But like, what the fuck else is he gonna do, dude?
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy W. I wish that he would have taken the Merchant of fucking Death off the table, though, because I know that we have other Russian assets locked up that we very easily could have maybe let go of and not been such a crazy threat.
Yeah. Not that guy.
Man.
Okay, real quick, back to Elon. I think that him releasing the Twitter files and this saga that continues to unravel, the political pressure applied to a social media platform, giant in this case, where the one rule or the premise of this social media platform is to allow people all across the globe to interact simultaneously without any barriers to freedom of speech. Because in America, where this company originated and is at, we have the First Amendment, freedom of speech. So when we have political pressure from whether it be a former first lady, whether it be a sitting senators or Congress people, to me, it sends such a wrong message into, I think, what, number one, the First Amendment really means. And just like you said, there's people out there who don't really believe in the First Amendment, who do want to censor it. So I'm grateful that Elon is releasing it for that purpose. But it's sad to me that we've allowed this to happen, and that even more so, the moment that we found out people were literally violating your constitutional rights, why aren't those people fucking in jail being investigated? Why aren't they fucking hauled in front of some sort of committee to answer these questions? And then even more so, I don't believe at the end of the day, and I don't give a fuck whether it's Biden was taking kickbacks from Hunter and all of their dealings, whether it's in Ukraine or China or whatever. I don't think anyone's gonna be held accountable for telling Twitter to ban fucking a sitting president or anything else. I don't.
About we were talking about sketchy prisons. I just read that the prison that SBF is now locked in at is like the top 5 worst prisons in the world.
Where's he at right now?
He's in the Bahamas.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not gonna stay that long.
Dude, so he's supposed
Is he
to
going to try to fight extradition?
He's supposed to stay there till February. They're extraditing him.
Shut the fuck up.
He's going to be there till February. So he's got at least a couple months there.
If you've seen his picture, he ain't made for jail, bro.
Dog, this dude. So like, I want to get this on the record now. How long before this guy's dead?
Oh, he committed suicide yesterday.
Or he gets suicided.
He's going to get suicide. Yeah. I saw a meme already that it was like Epstein talking to him, be like, hey, if you go over here in the corner, the cameras don't work.
Dude, that guy is so fucked. He's so fucked. I can't even believe just the sheer scale of the fraud that was committed.
Yep.
It's so insane. And then like, did you see that little frog looking chick that he's with? Like,
yeah.
Where's she at? I haven't heard shit about her. I think her name's Caroline.
I don't know.
Dude, I just feel like there's this house of cards this close to falling.
That's why, like, it's so funny because most
We're
of the time
focused on pronouns and shit.
Oh, yeah. Most of the time, we don't even hear about this shit until later. Like, listen, I didn't get fat, just by sitting around. I know that sounds like that's how you get fat, but I got fat by fucking playing the Monopoly game at McDonald's, only to find out years later on a documentary on fucking Netflix that they've
the whole
been
thing was fixed.
Fixed. This fucking guy has been selling he's the security guy. He's been stealing all of the things and giving them to his family and friends. What a dickhead.
It was the most egregious fraud. Like this dude was literally, it was family and friends.
Yeah.
It was like blood relatives were just winning millions of dollars. And this shit went on forever, dude.
And Dodge Vipers and all the things that I wanted to win. They tell us what they want us to hear. They release these little bits of information to keep us feeling like that's why I like that comedian guy. He's like, look, man, if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, I can't fuck with you. You think the government's just out here batting 1,000, telling you the whole truth? And as someone who's worked for the government, I know that they don't tell you the whole truth. They tell you what they want you to hear.
Dude, have you watched the Pepsi documentary about the Harrier jet?
Hold on. Isn't it several episodes?
Yeah.
I started watching it because the guy was like, hey, it just says you got to have 1 million points and you can, or whatever it was, and you can win a fucking Harrier jet.
Yeah.
So he got like, this is the money man and this is the idea guy.
Well, so he read the fine print and he found out like we all know that there's often no, there's like no proof of purchase, but I believe that there's also a law that's pretty or like a regulation that's pretty common in these sweepstakes giveaways that you can just purchase an entry.
Uh-huh.
So he found out that you could purchase an entry. So he just gathered up the money, and it's not a sweepstakes. This was just a
points
thing. So he was like, okay, well, this Harrier jet's going to cost me $700,000. He's like, this is a $30 million jet. Whatever.
Deal.
All right, let's do it. And like, dude, that was a really interesting because he
took him to court, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't watched it all, but I did start it.
So half of the docuseries is about the arguments that they presented in court and like the reasonableness of this and like how a reasonable like they had to establish law about a reasonable person articulating parody or a joke. Cause like that's what Pepsi, their court defense was like, we were obviously kidding. That was their defense.
Yeah, and that's a shitty defense. Gonna be like, listen, I didn't think it was possible for me to own a Harrier jet until Pepsi presented that I could, and then I was all in.
Yeah, and like, and the dude, the complainant was like, he was like, look, they have never put out another commercial that implies anything as a joke. Like everything that they've put out in these commercials for their entire existence, these advertisements have been not misleading.
They really made it clear Pepsi.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pepsi Crystal, baby.
That's it.
Remember Pepsi Blue?
Yeah, Pepsi Blue. Yep. All kinds of weird shit. They'll do whatever they can to sell fucking Pepsi. So, whatever, dude. I ate a lot of Popeye's chicken sandwiches during the fucking chicken wars, man. And I'm a survivor of the chicken sandwich wars.
How weird was that?
That was pretty fucking weird.
Dude, so, dude, I wonder if I can call him.
Who you gonna call? My cousin Jewell. It's like my fucking. Let's phone a friend right now.
He's like one of my best friends. He nerds out on graphs and shit like I do. Like he fucking loves a good data set.
Some words that I've never heard before. All right.
And dude, he sent me. I'm just gonna try and call him real quick.
All right. We've never done this before, so we're gonna try it right now.
We haven't.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Warfighter Overwatch. Warfighter Overwatch is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting our brave veterans and first responders with specialized programming designed to improve their mental and physical well-being. These heroes have given so much to our country and community, and Warfighter Overwatch is here to ensure they have the support they need to thrive. But Warfighter Overwatch needs your help to continue their important work. By donating to this organization, you can make a real difference in the lives of our veterans and first responders. So please, consider making a donation today and help spread the word about Warfighter Overwatch. Together, we can show our gratitude and support for those who have given so much for us. To learn more about Warfighter and how you can get involved, visit warfighteroverwatch.org. Thank you for your continued support and for tuning into the Patriotic Podcast. Let's get back to our episode.
What are we talking to Jewell about?
The chicken wars.
Oh, the chicken wars.
Hey, I'm on a pod right now recording. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you cool with that?
All right, lay it on me.
Bro, Danny, Jewell, Danny.
What up?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
So, dude, we were talking about the bird farm deaths. What can you tell me about that? Because you've read up on it a little bit more. So there's been like a disproportionate amount of bird farms that have just gotten like wiped out, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of just animal farm deaths everywhere. It's kind of weird, actually. There's something there. Could be a little conspiracy action going on, if I'm being completely honest.
Because do they have some sort of, like, they don't really have a reason as to why or that they're aware of?
I don't believe that there's any particular set reason, but I will say that, like, the first half of 2022, there were, like, quite literally millions of animals across America and different types of processing plants and different types of, whether it was chickens.
It was like chicken, ducks, and turkeys, and it was, if I remember correctly, it was all kind of localized to the East Coast a lot. I remember seeing Pennsylvania on that list a lot because you sent me a list. I was telling Danny, it was like June, and he sent me a list of
actually back over.
Yeah,
so
dude.
It's actually, it's a lot of like Northeast, a little bit in the Midwest, like Nebraska, that kind of thing. South Dakota, I believe, but it was crazy. Like within a 6-month period, I mean, almost every day or every other day, there would be some plant where 90,000 chickens were destroyed.
Yeah. So this
7 million eggs were destroyed.
So eerie.
This graphic that you sent me ends. The latest date is June 13th. So it was mid-June. So almost exactly halfway through. And it has, for example, a couple of the things on this list. 295,000 chickens destroyed in Missouri. 644,000 destroyed in Maryland.
Jesus.
250 destroyed in Delaware. 2.8 million destroyed in Wisconsin. 5.3 million destroyed in Iowa.
So we need to do a little research and find out more on this, but I'm glad that you have those graphs and that we're talking about this. And
it's so weird because, dude, you know what started this? We were talking about remember when we were talking about the chicken wars, dude?
Yeah, the chicken sandwich wars, like Popeyes and all these guys are like, they just distract us with dumb shit. Like, we're eating chicken sandwiches every day. And
but then there was a while where Wingstop didn't even have breasts.
Nope.
Or wings, I mean. They only had thighs, I think, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't even. So we were kind of going down a rabbit hole, and you knew more than me, so I wanted to call you. We're also testing our Bluetooth phone call function, so thank you for being our guinea pig, dog.
We appreciate that.
Glad to be the guinea pig. Yeah, no, there's definitely something up. I don't know what it is with, processing, manufacturing, animals, that kind of stuff. Like, obviously, during the pandemic, there was a lot of stuff that happened as a result of that. But, this year, we're definitely outside of that. And so for that many animals, there's something happening. And, I've seen a lot of things when you talk about what's going on in the war in Ukraine, that kind of stuff. Naturally, that being the largest exporting country of wheat and grain, an element of that, I think, maybe trickles down to where, they can't feed this many animals. But at the same time, I think that they're,
well, at the same time, some of the dates on that graph are from late 21. So
right, true, and I think that we're definitely on the cusp of some potential food shortage challenges, and I don't think everybody realizes how close we are to that. And I'm not going to say that all of these particular destroying of animals was premeditated, but that is a significant amount.
Well, I mean, if you could just imagine most Americans, Jewell, like, think about this. How are they going to hunt for tacos when they don't even know where tacos live?
Yeah, dude.
We have a food shortage. They're going to be screwed.
Oh yeah. I mean, think about how people hoarded toilet paper in a day. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot worse when you can't eat.
Yeah, you don't need to wipe your ass if you can't eat, though.
Listen, when the pandemic first happened, my birthday's in March. I was in Hawaii, and let me tell you something. I didn't bring home souvenirs. I brought home toilet paper, and I have a picture of my suitcase full of toilet paper because I was like, apparently it's a real issue back home. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
That's actually hilarious to go on vacation with toilet paper.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Anytime.
All right, brother. We'll catch up soon.
All right, yo.
Yeah, so that's definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
And so I want to switch gears again real quick because I know we have several topics and time crunch because we got to get stuff recorded. I want to talk to you real quick about this officer from Sacramento who was just found dead in Tennessee, and her husband was found dead in Kentucky, and they were divorcing, and she had been arrested like prior for stalking and for like taking his dog after he died, and he already had a girlfriend or whatever living. I don't know, man. It's a crazy story.
Yeah. So he was living in Tennessee.
Yep.
Had moved in with a new girlfriend who was watching over the dog that he had with this CHP captain prior to their divorce. She filed for divorce in May of this year. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how long they had been separated, but she She had gotten a couple of criminal complaints for harassment and trespassing. One event, like you said, she actually forcefully entered a property to retrieve the dog.
Yeah.
Grabbed
Calling
it by
the dog.
the
Come here,
collar.
Charlie.
Yeah. Grabbed it by the collar and just took the dog.
And that was caught on a Ring device, I believe. Yeah.
Now, the dude had been missing. His family hadn't been able to make contact with him. They wound up finding him in a listed home. Mm-hmm. It was like a vacant home that was for sale.
Weird.
Realtor found him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Fuck, dude.
That'd probably screw you up
What a
pretty good.
shitty fucking day at work.
Yeah.
You kidding me? Like, being a realtor is stressful enough, dude. Can you imagine just finding a dude with a gunshot wound to the head in your listing? But yeah, he had gotten shot in the head.
Yeah.
I think the now the woman had gone back. Does she live here?
So they were both from here.
From here. He had moved, so she came back home.
Yep. She was on leave or on vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
So she was home here in Sacramento. And when she got home, she had hacked into her ex's Netflix account and changed, like, deleted a couple accounts. So, like, when the girlfriend back in Tennessee opened it up, it had the ex-wife's name.
Yeah.
And then beneath it had her name, and it was called, like, Drama Queen or something. And it had, like, a unbecoming avatar. I don't know. But, like, petty, weird harassment shit like that.
Yeah.
And so the sheriffs from out there in Tennessee actually came out here, and Sac Sheriff was like, yeah, we'll facilitate the arrest. Mm-hmm. And she was ultimately arrested. I guess some other guy was arrested at Sac Airport.
Yeah.
And
he's charged with his murder.
Right.
Yeah.
So they think that he paid her, and I think that dude lived in, like, Citrus Heights or some shit, right?
He's from somewhere here, Sacramento as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Greater Sacramento area. And, then they just found her dead.
Yeah, so they find her in her front yard with a gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah.
And I think, like, dude, you're for sure guilty if you're killing yourself in your front lawn.
Yeah.
That's not a grieving.
No.
I mean, how much do we study suicide and what we do with Warfighter? Like, from what I know, which admittedly is not as much as a educated expert is, but like, I don't think that that's a grieving widow. I think that that's somebody that's carrying some guilt and doesn't want what's coming to her.
That's correct.
That's my initial response.
That's avoiding responsibility for your actions because you probably paid the guy to go. We're going to find out when it comes to Who the Fuck Did I Marry show. It's going to be.
It'll be on A&E in about 6 months.
Yep. Dude, did I tell you about me being on the ID channel?
Yeah.
Oh, that was creepy too. I'm just glad I'm alive to, tell the story, but that's kind of weird because I didn't know. They'd taken a clip that I had recorded, like doing an interview on like CBS Nightly News or whatever it was with Norah O'Donnell. And they used that in a clip for one of our guys who I'm just going to go out and say he committed suicide because the guy who was out there on the balcony with him, he jumped off a third story of an apartment building off the base at Fort Hood. And after the Vanessa Guillen thing, his family was like, my brother was killed and we never got answers. And we're like, well, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but CID did not talk to them, mostly because it was a civilian police department doing the investigation. But the people who were involved were all military. They wrote down sworn statements and then were not allowed to talk about it. They were told they're not allowed to talk about it. So a lot of stuff there. But anyways, my buddy committed suicide and his family's, they're not happy with me saying that he committed suicide. And that's part of the stigma I want to get rid of, but.
Yeah. And, and that speaks to kind of what we have spoken about with the first responder side of things is like, I feel like even though, so the number of veterans that commit suicide every day, I mean, it's pretty widely known that it's far higher than most other communities. Mm-hmm. But what worries me about the stigma is that, like, I just put together our Warfighter pamphlet for first responders. It's our first responder focused programming. And I reached out to Rocco, another one of our board members for those at home. Fantastic dude.
I don't know if you saw, but he got a field save and then didn't tell us about it, and they put it on social media.
Yeah, I
and
did see
busted
that.
his ass. So
I did see that.
Rocco, congratulations. For those of you who don't know, a field save is when you save someone's life in the line of duty, and he did that while performing the duties of a fireman, and he got recognized for that. So great job, Rocco.
Yeah.
That's why he's on the board, man.
Hats off to Rocco, dude. Gotten to know him a little bit after the last couple events and stuff, and we did the Valhalla hike with Sac Fire. That was awesome.
Yep.
Great dude. I don't remember where I was going with that though.
Uh-oh. Sorry. Hold on. Oh, we're talking about the programming for first responders and the suicide stuff that people don't know. Yeah.
So I reached out to Rocco for statistics, like, hey, can you, because the VA publishes stuff pretty regularly. I'm not familiar with a lot of the organizations that track those kinds of statistics for first responders, so I reached out to him, and the material that he sent me, and, one thing that he wanted me to realize was that how vastly underreported these things are.
Yep.
And it's because of that stigma. Like, it's because I don't like, and it breaks my heart to know that like people are embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
When they should be, while they're at the same time, they're so proud of their loved one's bravery. So it's like, it's hard to be proud and embarrassed at the same time. And I want to eliminate that part because like, you wouldn't be embarrassed about the suicide if he didn't do the thing you're very proud of and experience the trauma he or she did.
That's right.
So it's like, it's a chicken and egg situation. Yeah. And that's what our a huge objective is to break. So the last couple months have been awesome, dude. I'm really looking forward to next year for both Warfighter and the pod.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a lot of fun and we're going to do a lot of good.
Dude, the Valhalla hike was great. So we took some SAC firefighters to Pacifica, and we went and hiked up the trail there right by Lindemar. And I'll tell you, it is gorgeous. It's definitely some hills. It'll make you sweat a little bit. It's great exercise, getting outdoors, and the camaraderie and the like what you see with those firefighters. It's great. You remind them that there's stuff outside of work. You got to have a good, work and life balance, and the job will replace you. It will. Your family will never replace you. So keep that in mind. But just like you said, we outsource all of our trauma to these first responders, police officers and firefighters. And just like with the video we showed at the gala, right, with my father-in-law pulling this guy out of this vehicle that's burning, and the other vehicle was engulfed, and that guy was dead. So this guy's begging them not to let him burn, and he's stuck. He's impinged. They can't get him out. Eventually they do, but the guy sustained burns and all that stuff, and we're totally okay with my father-in-law going home and dealing with that. And by the way, when you watch the video, you see right after they pull him out within 3 seconds, the fuel line was melted, and it made it go even forward. So then the whole vehicle was on fire within 2 minutes after that. And that's complete chaos. And if he didn't, like when the fuel line burned, he would not have been able to continue trying to pull that guy. He would have got out, and he would have got burned in the process, even just trying to exit, from the side, from the door. It's eye-opening to realize that these people are carrying this stuff around, and they're our neighbors, and there's lots of them, right, all across America. And we really don't care or give a shit to put energy and time into building relationships and providing support for them, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that they feel supported when they have those moments where it's starting to feel embarrassing, where you are ashamed. Hey, I'm not supposed to be feeling weak. I'm supposed to be the epitome of strength. So why am I feeling like this? Well, human suffering is not something everyone sees on a daily basis. Yeah. And you guys do, compound it over and over. And some days it's worse than others, because when it's a kid, it changes the dynamic of everything, right? And it's really tough, because adults can put themselves in bad situations, and we'll go bail them out anyways. But when you're talking about a kid who can't necessarily put themselves in or get themselves out of a bad situation, and then there's suffering involved in that, we want to eliminate that immediately. And most of the time we can stop the immediacy of like whatever the imminent danger is, but we can't stop the damage that it's done psychologically and emotionally to that child or children. So with all that being said, that's one of the reasons we do the Valhalla hikes. Get these guys outside in nature. Let them feel that support from the people, not just they work with, but even people like us who they don't know, they don't work with, but still want to help provide some resources and support. So I tell my guys a lot, especially because I deal with these guys who are like I have a lot of combat trauma and have done some pretty crazy stuff, and they're the last guy who wants to ask for help. And I draw that out of them. I explain to them that me too. I didn't want to ask for help either. But it's vital, and not just for me, though it is for me, is for my family and my community, because what if I am that statistic? What if I decided I was going to commit suicide? Because I had gotten to that point before, but let's say I get there again. Let's say I feel like committing suicide. I know that my suicide would have huge ripple effects across the veteran community, because I know so many people. I've impacted people's lives in a positive way. And I don't say that to be arrogant. I say that because I know it's true.
I'd kill you again.
Yeah. People would be pretty upset. And separate from my family, the people who see me every day and love me, right? All these other people who know me in small amounts, who still have care and genuine care of my life, my quality of life. When I finally asked for help, I found people who genuinely wanted to help me, who were willing to say, hey, let me point you in the right direction, or let me give you some guidance, or let me provide resources, or this is who you need to talk to. Or even just, I get it, just listening.
You're not a pussy if you ask for help.
That's right.
And I feel like that is, like, when you boil down the psyche that a lot of the people that, again, like one of the messages that Rocco said on that Valhalla hike that I really appreciated was the point of these hikes. He stopped us. He's like, fucking look around.
Yep.
He's like, you're tired, your heart's pumping, you're breathing hard, and your immediate instinct is to put your head on and drive on. That is not the point of this hike.
That's right.
It's not the point of this hike. Mm-hmm. So you're not a pussy if you don't just put your head down and drive on in these situations where you're feeling down about life or whatever. Like,
that's right.
Asking for help, you're not a pussy, dude. You're smart.
Yeah, like if you're benching, if you're doing your personal best or a personal record on bench press or squat, like asking for someone, hey, can you come give me a spot? I'm gonna try to bench my max.
Does that take anything away from it?
That's pretty smart to make sure that you don't have an accident or break something or hurt yourself. And we don't do these great things alone. There's this old proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to embody.
Yeah.
So
I agree, man.
Grateful for that. It's been, I think, a lot of good, and I am super excited for this next year. We have a lot of stuff in store. We got some really great reunion squad recons that we're doing. We have some good hikes. We're going to try to get some permits to do some cool stuff up in Yosemite, but if not, we're going to do some Alpine Lake stuff. And yeah, we got a lot of big things in the works, man, and I'm very excited. We're going to continue to grow this thing, and I couldn't, as the chairman of the board, I couldn't be happier with our board members and having you guys show up and put the time in, and it's, I think the impact is showing.
Yeah.
We're going to do like a little video for the end of the year, like a recap. And there's something from Nonprofit of the Year, Kevin Kiley getting award and all that stuff, to the squad recons. And
how about the rodeo?
That was so huge,
dude, that
bro.
was a huge moment.
People saw that in like Louisiana or
Yeah.
some crap. Yeah. My buddy was like, hey, you were on the news here one day. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, they just showed it. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, you have the rodeo. You have the second gala, which was a huge success. You have
Huge.
the recon, which was awesome. My first one, so can't wait for more.
Yeah.
We did a lot of cool shit in 2022. It was a challenging year nonetheless, but we're no worse for the wear, man.
Yeah, man.
So I'm really looking forward to 2023. For both Warfighter and the pod, dude. It's going to be fun.
We're going to make this thing a lot bigger. Got a lot of guests getting ready to come on.
Yeah.
We're going to start adding a lot more guests and can continue doing what we're doing, man. Thanks for taking this journey with me, brother.
Yeah, dude.
Been a good year.
Sure has.
So don't forget, make sure you guys come down to Kinetic Ink for your tattoo needs and Kinetic Threads for any custom apparel you need. I have artists so they can make up the art that you need for your custom shirt or hat or whatever it is.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was fucking cool.
That was rad. I'm glad it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Dude, we got to call more people for sure. That was fun.
That's a great idea. Like when we're talking, we're like,
open up a fucking hotline, dude. Yeah. Dude, we should jump on live one day and just be like, we are here to field your questions. Here's our phone number
on YouTube. Yeah. Let's do it.
That would be sick.
Yep.
Ask us anything.
And ask us anything. I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
You want to see my grinder picture?
Which would you rather, the first 90% or the last 10% of a blowjob?
Well, the 90%'s all the work, man, but 10%, is that really the reward you want?